Alrighty friends, hello and welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome on in. I am back with the final flip through of 2024, which of course is the flip through of my entire bullet journal from this year. This is my second time ever using a black page bullet journal. The first time around didn't exactly go that great, but to be honest, was 2020 a great year for anyone? Probably not. So I knew that I wanted to redeem myself at some point, and here we are at the end of an amazing year in journaling. I will also make sure to link a playlist to all of my setup videos from this year, so you could watch them from start to finish if you would like. Of course, the star of the show is this amazing Starry Night journal from Scribbles That Matter. The link and all of my discount codes are always in the description. So yeah, without further ado, I think it's time we pop into this bad boy. This is also the chonkiest my journal has ever been, which is fabulous, and she has some some twine coming out of her. I also have a few pages left back here. This is also the fewest amount of pages that I've had left in a journal, which is great. But what I like to do, just to preserve the integrity of the spine, because these are essentially like mini time capsules of my life in a given year, and I want to preserve them as much as possible. So if there's any extra pages left in my bullet journals, I just cut them out and reuse them in future journals. I'm really glad that that there aren't that many papers left in the back. Alrighty, let's get started. Starting off with the first few pages here, so of course I decided to do a Gothic inspired setup for my yearly intro pages for this bullet journal. I absolutely love these intro pages. This was also my first time using an index, and to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be using this for 2025. You can see that I started using it and it looks really nice. The Scribbles That Matter journals come with a pre-made index that you could fill out, but you could see I used it until April and then just didn't use it after that. So for 2025, I'm going to be completely covering these and just doing something a little different. Alrighty, 2024 themes. I love this page so much. It is way better than last year's theme spread, because all of the photos are actually the same size, because I waited till the end of the year to actually print everything out. This is just one of my favorite spreads to do. If you're looking to kind of add something to your yearly journal setup, I highly recommend doing this little time capsule of themes. This is, yeah, one of my favorite spreads for sure. This is also my filled out library for 2024. I did something similar to this in 2023, but decided to make use of course, the black pages. Had a really great start to the year when it comes to reading, and then the last 5 or 6 months, I really haven't read at all. So most of these books that I've read here are from the first half of the year. Can we talk about how cool this is? Obviously it's not finished because, like I said, there's still a few more weeks in the month left, but this is definitely a spread that I will be doing for 2025, my productivity tracker. There's just something about the black and the gold and the white Jelly Roll pen that just makes this look it's so pleasing to look at. And it's just one of my favorite ways to kind of track, is to do the whole pixel thing. This is a spread that I probably won't be doing for next year. The weather tracker. It was fun for the first few years. Obviously you can see I kind of stopped doing it. We just don't really have diverse weather patterns in California, at least where I'm at. This is pretty much just sunny for the most part. If anything, this was just a great way for me to like have a calendar in my journal, I guess, but I'm going to be doing an actual calendar spread for 2025 instead of just a weather tracker. Alrighty, first monthly setup we did was coffee inspired for January. This one was a lot of fun, a classic, very classic moment for me. To prevent myself from repeating too much, I'm just going to come out and say that the mood trackers this year have been honestly my favorite mood trackers I've ever done. I'm giving myself a pat on the back. I felt like I really kind of took it to the next level with my mood trackers while still keeping it, you know, for the purpose that it serves for me. So this was just, I don't know, I really loved the mood trackers this year, and this is no exception. I didn't fill this out, that's awkward. Alrighty, moving on, to February's. We did a Van Gogh inspired theme. I always try to do something a little bit special for my birthday month. I had gotten like this kit that had a whole bunch of art history related ephemera, and I was like, you know, I think it'd be a lot of fun to do like a Van Gogh inspired setup and to kind of tie in the gold elements. But another thing that inspired the setup was the name of the journal, which is Starry Night. So I knew at some point I was going to probably do a Van Gogh theme for the month, but I just was like, you know, let's just do it for February. Alrighty, talking about mood trackers. One of my favorite parts about using this journal was how opaque the Sakura Jelly Roll pens look against the black. It's just so, it is so beautiful. It is so much fun to look at. For this mood tracker, I decided to do my own rendition of Starry Night, of course, and it just looks so cool. Alrighty, moving on to March, which is one of my favorite themes from 2024 by far. I did a whole moth-inspired setup. This cage is one of my favorite things I've ever done. It also was the most tedious thing. I can remember doing this on this page and then hating it, so I tore it out and completely redesigned it, but it looks so cool. I love that I included this tag with the twine. Absolutely love this setup. I really went ham on using the gold pen this year. It's just so much fun because I feel like it just really pops against the black. Speaking of a favorite setup, April's, oh my gosh. For the longest time, I've been wanting to do a fantasy map setup, but I just never really knew how to go about it. And I think what's amazing about the black paper is that it kind of does half of the work for you, it feels like. Just having that super harsh contrast in color just makes everything look so amazing. I think one of my favorite parts about this, these cover pages, besides the map itself, is the layering, and then how I went in with the distressed ink to kind of give it an older, you know, vintage look. I absolutely love this theme idea. This mood tracker was very well loved, and I'm so glad. I think this will always be one of my favorite spreads. Not just mood trackers, just favorite spreads in general. It was just a lot of fun to kind of create my own key system. I mean, it kind of blends into each other. It's kind of hard to see like, oh, when like 4 blends into 6 or whatever, but that's, you know, it's not exactly meant to be like a super strict representation of my moods. It was half fun, half helpful. Oh, this is a blank page. Moving on to May. This setup took so long to do, but it honestly had the biggest payoff. It just looks so good, and then incorporating like the silver marker as well. So beautiful. This was also the year where I really went ham with like the Dutch doors and the half doors, all the door pages. Moving on to June for the 𝒅𝒊𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒆 of the Opera theme. The gothic vibes of this setup are so good. I remember how much pain and suffering creating this whole cost me, and the reason why this was so difficult is because I couldn't find my X-Acto knife, and of course, like, the next week I found it when I was looking for something else in my stationery. I love the ribbon, even though that was another thing that was kind of causing me some stress. Oh, this page is so cool. I feel like I personally, I mean, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but this is, you know, this is my journal, but it's also a form of like my artistic self-expression. So, and I feel like a journal or something you create should definitely bring you joy. This is the one mood tracker where I wish I kind of did something different. I like the mask idea, but I think the issue was that I didn't make the surface area big enough. So it looks a little bit lost on this page. But I think at this point I was so exhausted from creating this setup that I was like, you know what, this is the best I got right now. So that's what it's going to be. But I think I could have went a little bit more with this setup. I mentioned this in my recent Instagram post, but this is the first year where I actually love the summer themes, because I am not a summer gal, as I've stated many a time before, and I always find that I'm feeling a lot less creative during the summer months. So I don't know if it was like the black pages or if it was just my mindset kind of switching to a different setting when the summer came around, but I was like, you know what, let's just do something. Let's try to take a classic like summer theme like the beach or the ocean and kind of turn it on its head and make it more my speed. I went with a very eerie and dark underwater vibe and added some of my favorite sea creatures. This was so much fun to draw. This is one of my favorite things I've ever drawn, to be honest with you, and I'm glad that I was finally able to actually love a summer theme. Oops. I also think I've now become a pro at drawing jellyfish because of how many I had to draw and experiment with for this setup. August's theme, I decided to do an apothecary. This was half inspired by Apothecary Diaries, which is one of my favorite animes ever. I absolutely love that show so much. This was a really cool idea. I love that I kind of made this makeshift bottle and, you know, made it seem like there were these leaves within them. Just, you know, a very cozy setup for sure. This was also the first time that I did a digital layout for my mood tracker, because to be honest, I didn't really want to sit and draw 31 individual little potion bottles. So I created this little setup on Canva. I drew the shelf, printed it out, and yeah, that's the mood tracker. Alrighty, for September, I did like an enchanted, cozy library. Again, a very standard theme for me. I honestly don't mind repeating themes every now and again because I feel like I'm going to interpret every theme differently and do it differently, especially because I went with black pages for this year. It gave me a chance to do a little bit something different. Again, with the interactable elements for my habit tracker. And for the mood tracker, this was such a fun idea, doing like this little mock-up TBR cart and then using each of the shelves as like a rating system that you would normally do for books. and then cutting out these little tiny pieces of paper to make them look like books, and then adding them into their respective shelves. Such a cool idea. Definitely want to do something like this for my actual reading journal. But yeah, one of my favorite mood trackers this year. September was honestly such a magical month for me. Not only was it my very first time in Portland, but it was my first time having an artist alley set up at a Comic-Con, or just at any con. One of the best experiences of my life. It really changed my perspective on what I see myself doing in the future. I am very much an introverted person, but when it comes to my shop and my, creative passions, I could talk your ear off for hours. So this was such an incredible experience for me. So of course I wanted to document it and, give it its due by having its own spread in my journal. So I hope to be back at Rose City. We'll see. Portland is just an amazing city as well. Definitely the Scribbles vibes over there for sure. Moving on to October, this is another theme that I've been wanting to do for a while, but of course it made the most sense to do it during the spookiest month of them all. I decided to do an Edgar Allan Poe / Gothic poetry theme for October. One of the reasons why I was really excited to do this setup was because I knew I was going to do an anatomical heart for the mood tracker, which is a callback to The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. I kept it very simple, as you can see. I just used the Sakura Jelly Roll Moonlight pens with, in the gray tones, which are actually, these right here. Absolutely love how this looks. Very simple, but it fits the vibe of this setup. Moving on to November, I wanted to essentially have the excuse to draw a whole bunch of mushrooms and stars, so the celestial mushroom theme was born. This is another one of my favorite pages in this journal for sure. This cutaway mushroom scene for the habit tracker was really, really fun to do. Again, I was just in the mood to draw a whole bunch of different mushrooms, which is no exception for the mood tracker. My only, I don't want to say regret, I think the only downside of this spread for me is I wish I would have chosen colored pencils that were just a little bit more vibrant. Because two of the colors I chose are very similar to each other, especially when you put them against the black paper, and then the gray just doesn't really stand out that much, but that's okay. I think I just was more focused on trying to keep all of the colors within, matching within the spreads. Oh, this little guy came off. Let me put him back. There we go. The final monthly setup for December. This is the most recent one, of course, the vintage winter postage. I was really inspired by all of the pen paling that I've been doing this year. We have a piece of my actual Christmas tree here, which is actually dried pretty well. Hopefully it stays intact over the years. I mean, it's not like I'm throwing this book around, but like when real Christmas trees get dry, they become very brittle. So hopefully this stays intact. This isn't fully filled out, but again, with the interactive elements, I had so much fun creating these little envelopes, which is another thing that I've definitely become a pro at because of this setup. I have my favorites filled out a little bit here as well. And then we have the mood tracker with a whole bunch of stamps. You can see that I've slowly started filling them in, my little janky doodles. Alrighty, so the next two spreads are actually ones that you've never seen. One of them is actually a spread that I did for my Patreon monthly journal with me video. So if you want some extra journaling videos from me, you could always find them over on my Patreon. Alrighty, 2024 year in review. Yes, I did the Gothic font again because of course I had to. It wouldn't be a year in review without me taking 30 minutes to do this, but it looks so good. And then I just included some of my favorite pictures from this year. Artist alley badges, our pup Cannoli, and a few others. So really love this spread. And then my 2024 favorites. So yes, I do have a 2024 favorites page already, which is somewhere here. Yes, here. These are obviously just quick little phrases or bullet points from the year. So what this spread is meant to do is just kind of provide a larger visual illustration of my favorites, plus a few extra things. So starting off on the left side, we have a list of games that I've played this year. I've finally finished Final Fantasy VII, the remake, which was amazing. So we have my favorite games from 2024. Underneath it, we have favorite movies, Alien Romulus, and then the theater near us actually did a re-release of episode 1 for I think it was the 25th anniversary, I could be wrong. We didn't really see too many movies this year, but it was just a lot of fun to, like, whenever theaters do Star Wars or just any re-releases for old movies, those are just always really fun to go to. Moving on to the middle of the page, my favorite theme from 2024 was actually the May Galaxy. I think just combining painting and journaling, it was just the height of creativity for me. And even though it was the spread that took me the longest amount of time to do, it was also just so rewarding when it was all done. Underneath it, we have my favorite stationery items, which I will be doing a dedicated, more in-depth video on this, so stay tuned for that. But I just kind of wanted to highlight the goods that I use the most in this journal. So of course, the Sakura White Jelly Roll pen, the Uniball Signo Gold, and the HP Sprocket, which is what I used in a majority of my favorites pages to print out some of my favorite photos from that month. Then we have some of my favorite songs that I had on repeat throughout the year. Next to that, we have 2 of my favorite books. These are obviously not my only favorites from this year, but these are definitely the standouts, Nocticadia and Thrum. Gosh, this book was so good. It was a novella. It was like a horror sci-fi novella. So amazing. I highly recommend this book if you're into that kind of genre. That was another recent discovery of mine this year, was that I love the horror sci-fi genre. Underneath it, we just have a few extra bullet points of my favorite moments from the year. So Portland, getting a new job, hitting some shop milestones, being a bridesmaid for the first time. On the side here, because I didn't actually leave room for like my favorite TV show, so I just decided to put it on the side. We have Apothecary Diaries, and I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I honestly binged it. I think I'm on season 8. It is my guilty pleasure show. I absolutely love it so much. If you're curious, my favorite queen so far is definitely Kimchi, but I still have quite a number of seasons to catch up on. But these were the 2 that were kind of like definitely my favorites from the year. Alrighty, hello friends. It is actually the next day. I'm in the middle of recording and working on my 2025 bullet journal setup. And I realized that I forgot to mention something during my flip through video. I actually want to share with you a new product in my shop. Well, it's not technically new. I've done this once before, but it is new for 2025. I decided to bring back my 2025 calendar cards, and what makes these so special this time around is that each of the months are inspired by the monthly setups from 2024. So if we go to April, you will see that it kind of has a similar vibe to April's fantasy map setup. And if we go to May, for example, it has a galaxy theme. This is something that got a lot of love last year, and I was really excited to bring it back again for 2025. And what I love about these calendars is that they have, if you're able to tell on camera, it has this amazing texture to it. So it's a textured cardstock, which I absolutely love. And this is also just really cool for me because I feel like besides my bullet journal being essentially a time capsule of 2024, these calendar cards almost act like the same thing, and they were just a ton of fun to make. So you could see that October has a very similar kind of gothic monochrome vibe that this setup has. So yeah, that is the one extra tidbit that I wanted to include in this flip through. So we are going to now hop on back into the past to wrap up this video. Alrighty, so with all that being said, we've officially reached the end of the flip through video for 2024. I am so incredibly proud of this journal. She is perfect in every single way. This is the first year where every theme, every monthly setup is just brings me so much joy. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy my other journals by any means, but there was just something super magical about 2024. I would love to know what your favorite monthly theme was from this year, or if you had a favorite spread as well. Let me know. I am definitely looking forward to a whole another year in this Starry Night journal, and I hope you will join me on that journey. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!